It's been over 20 years since Volkswagen showed us the microbus concept back in 2001. That was what it thought the new Bully could look like. Today, finally, 2022, we can nearly show you the production version. It's now called the ID.Buzz, and it's an interesting car. Today we get to drive it for the first time. We can't show you what it's like underneath all this swirly paintwork, unfortunately. You can probably get a bit of a feel for it, but it's more about what's underneath that today. So it shares the same MEB electric platform as the likes of the ID.3 and ID.4, but it is a much bigger car. It's longer, it's wider, the wheelbase is longer. That's despite the fact that it's going to come as a 5-seat vehicle to begin with. There will actually be a 7-seat version, however, and Volkswagen's kind of hoping that you might consider this instead of an SUV. Details are a bit scant. We can tell you a little bit, we can't tell you everything. We don't know everything ourselves. This version initially will come with a 77 kilowatt-hour battery, the same as you'll find in the Volkswagen ID.4 and the Skoda Enyaq and things like that. It's rear drive. The motor back there is 150 kilowatt, which is 204 horsepower. It will be a little bit heavier, so performance mightn't be the exact same, but we're being told that the range, certainly in the initial ones, might be somewhere along 450 kilometers, which isn't bad at all for such a big vehicle. Volkswagen, as I mentioned, is hoping that you'll consider this instead of an SUV. It's not really being pitched as a van-based people carrier, things like the multivan, etc. It's a bit different to that, and maybe when the covers come off we'll be able to judge a bit more on what it looks like. We can't show you the interior, unfortunately, but what we can tell you is that when it's in 5-seat configuration, there's over 1,000 litres of boot space behind, so it's massive. If they wanted you to think of it as a lifestyle vehicle, but realistically, big families, they want something a bit stylish, you want to go fully electric, it's going to be an interesting option. That's probably enough talk about the outside and what we can and can't show you. It's probably good now to just go drive it. So we're driving the ID.Buzz Cargo, the van version, and while it shares a lot with the ID.4 in terms of its powertrain, it doesn't immediately feel like the ID.4 actually. Like the ID.4, the ID.Buzz uses a rear-mounted electric motor. This one's got 150 kilowatt motor, which is 204 horsepower, and feels nippy. Again, this is the van version, so there's no seats in the back, it keeps it nice and light. Now, the driving controls are a little bit different to the ID.4 as well. Instead of having it up here on the dashboard and you twist, it's actually right down here on the column. It operates in the same way that you twist forward for drive. Actually, there's an extra little setting there as well for the extra gentle braking mode. That's what I've got it in here. We're in a kind of a semi-urban environment. There's lots of roundabouts and lots of slowing down, so a bit of brake energy regeneration. Volkswagen hasn't yet confirmed the range for the ID.Buzz or the ID.Buzz Cargo. We believe there will be several different models. Initially, they'll be using a 77 kilowatt-hour battery, the same as the ID.4 and the Enyaq. And rumours are suggesting that it'll be a range of about 450 kilometers for the 5-seat version, and maybe for the van as well, which is a little bit lighter. We believe there'll be a longer wheelbase model, and there will definitely be a 7-seat version of the ID.Buzz for the passenger version, and a California camper. On the motorway now we're doing about 100 kilometers an hour, and again the wind noise is really low. It's noticeable. It's a really refined van, which is buffer driving, and that goes very well for the passenger version as well. They share the same platform, share everything. We can't show you the dashboard and interior today. I can tell you that it's very similar to the ID.4 in front of me here in terms of the instrument panel. It's got a big touchscreen in the middle here as well, so it'll feel very similar to the ID.4 from that point of view. It's a lot more space in here though, it's a much bigger car inside. So that was our first look at what the ID.Buzz is going to be like from behind the wheel. It's a very interesting vehicle. It is quite different to the ID.4, which I was a bit surprised by. Now, it's coming to Ireland in September. Later in the year, they'll have a few more units. 2023 will be the first full year of sales. And, well, as I said, Volkswagen are hoping that some SUV buyers go for this instead, some family buyers thinking 7 seats, very useful. Odds are that it might come in at around €60,000 mark, and that's not bad at all for the space, the range, the power and everything.